Do-do-do. All right, tickety talk, tickety talk. Dun, 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 dun. Do-do-do. Add a live goal. Manage goal. Let's go 100. I don't even know. Footballs. Cool. Alice, hello from Chicago. No idea what I am doing. All right. Cool. So much going on. All right. 3, 2, 1. Sweet deal. I think we've got everything going. We're up and going. Rhonda Kersey. High on Mounjaro since January 4th, down 28.5 pounds. January 4th, February, March. That's pretty solid. Pretty fast amount of weight loss, actually. Yeah, right on, Rhonda. Hopefully not too many side effects or issues, problems, concerns, all of the above, you know, the usual type stuff. But yeah, hopefully it's all going well for you. That's awesome. Life with Liz. What's going on, Liz? Sweet. Yeah, Mounjaro is kind of the new guy to the block. It is technically approved here in Canada for diabetes. Can we access it? That is the number one problem. Just can't get your hands on it yet. And that's because there's drug shortages and stuff like that. The ongoing issues and problems across the globe, if you will. But I did read an article today that Wegovy is supposed to be hitting the pharmacy shelves in the UK pretty quick here. So that hopefully should mean that it's going to kind of have a trickling effect amongst all the other countries, including Canada, Australia, and all of that. So yeah, here's to hoping that all of that is wrapped up pretty quick. Jazz, hi from Australia. What's going on, Jazz? Hi from Canada. Dun, dun. Jazz has the question, advice for GLP-1 pens with people who have had basically their gallbladder removed. So for people in that situation where they're, if you've had that surgery, there really isn't any advice or differences or anything like that we do in that situation. It all pretty much still follows kind of the same kind of process, procedures and stuff like that. Yeah, when we don't have a gallbladder, we aren't able to store bile. So sometimes we want to adjust and be mindful of fat intake and stuff like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's kind of the same standard and procedures and stuff. If there's any kind of extenuating circumstances around the reason for, your gallbladder getting removed and stuff, like say you had pancreatitis at the time, or was it because of gallstones? Was it because of previous weight loss? That sort of thing. I mean, there's tons and tons of things that need to be looked at and taken into account. But yeah, for the most part, there's no problems, no issues, no concerns. Just that initial assessment needs to be looked at. So hopefully that helps. Rhonda, I've had mine out, no difference. Yeah, so Rhonda's had her gallbladder out. No problems, no concerns for her, and she's on Mounjaro and said she lost like 28.5 pounds so far. So yeah, there really isn't any difference. I don't know why it keeps coming up. People keep talking about it. I'm assuming doctors are maybe worried about it or something like that, but there is no major concerns or issues or anything like that. So I don't know where it keeps coming from. Because even just in general dieting, like you really, yeah, most people don't need to change anything. Like just because you can't store the bile doesn't mean your body's not producing bile to break down fats and do the whole emulsification thing. So I don't know. Jazz says, my doctor has me on Saxenda. Awesome. Timeless. Can you get Mounjaro or Wegovy in Canada yet? No, can't get either of them. As I was saying at the start of the live here, I did read an article that Wegovy should be available in the UK pretty quick here. At least that's what they're starting to report. So in the UK, it'll be on pharmacy shelves. That is probably a pretty good indication that it's going to be hitting pharmacy shelves elsewhere, UK, Australia, Canada, otherwise. So hopefully we're not too far behind. But I mean, we'll ultimately see. Mounjaro, yeah, no idea where that one is specifically at. I know they were kind of having a supply chain issue, but again, they kind of seem to have resolved it and ramped up production. But when that's going to hit the shelves here in Canada and elsewhere, really tough to say. It's technically only approved in Canada right now for diabetes management and not for weight loss. So yeah, tough to say. Charmaine on YouTube. I was taking Saxenda and it was not working, so my doctor put me on Quizima. How long should I wait before taking the Quizima? I can't pronounce it. So how long should you wait before taking basically phentermine and topiramate combination, Quizima, Quizima, I can never pronounce that one, it's terrible, after you stop taking Saxenda? Short answer is you could start it like the next day. Saxenda clears the system relatively quickly, so the half-life is about 24 hours. So it gets cleared out of the system. Yeah, starts going down within 24 hours. That's why we need to dose it daily. And so 3 days of Saxenda will be clear to your system, but you could start that other medication, yeah, the next day when you would dose your Saxenda or what have you. If you're dosing your Saxenda at night, I would probably take the Quizima in the morning, not at nighttime, just because it can affect your sleep potentially. So yeah, so that's what I would look at. There's really no waiting period at all between the two. Timeless, damn, my Manulife doesn't cover Ozempic for weight loss. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't cover it. So Ozempic is technically only indicated for diabetes. And so that's what most insurance companies will provide coverage for Ozempic if you have diabetes. I would look into maybe Saxenda in that case. So Saxenda does have the indication for weight management. So that might be a possible option for you. And wow, 123, and what's the difference between Ozempic and Wegovy? So the difference between Ozempic and Wegovy is there really is no difference. Ozempic has semaglutide, which is the generic molecule. Wegovy also has semaglutide within it. They have all the same ingredients and stuff like that. Ozempic is just indicated for diabetes management to a dose of upwards of 2 milligrams per week, depending on the individual. Whereas Wegovy is increased to a dose of 2.4 milligrams once per week, and it's indicated for obesity weight management. So that is, yeah, that's that. They're exactly the same, just different dosages, different pens, that sort of thing. Dill XN, where did you hair go? Probably the same place that your grammar skills went to, maybe. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I don't know. That's where we shaved off the sides. We always keep a little bit on the top because that's all the rage. That's the style these days. Lori B. I heart Ozempic, but I always had high heart rate and palpitations. Is there any fix for this? I always had high heart rate and palpitations. Is there any fix for this? So what exactly do you mean by that, Lori? Like when you were on Ozempic, it increased your heart rate and caused palpitations, or you had that prior to Ozempic and you're worried about Ozempic increasing it further? I mean, it all kind of depends what the underlying pathology for the heart rate, elevated heart rate and palpitations. If you have like a condition like AFib or what have you, then, you know, we need to manage and treat that. If it's some other kind of ventricular tachycardia issue or something like that, we need to look at that. Like there's a lot of kind of different factors and things that need to be kind of looked at and stuff. So I don't exactly know what the specific question there is. Charmaine on YouTube. I just hate to toss the 3 Saxenda pens that I have left. Will it hurt to take both? I mean, technically people can take both Saxenda and other weight loss medications together, but that would ultimately be a question to talk about with your doctor, just to make sure that there's no issues, concerns, or anything like that, or just hang on to them or what have you. So Jessica Watson, is Ozempic dangerous for long-term use? No. I mean, we've had these drugs. We've been actually, I think the GLP-1 molecule was either in the 1990s, early 1990s, or maybe even the late 1980s when we started discovering it and figuring it out and stuff like that. So they've essentially been studying it for years and years and years. We've had the drugs and kind of doing human trials and stuff like that for like 20 plus years. And 20 plus years out, we haven't seen any long-term negative side effects or concerns or anything. So yeah, there really is no long-term safety concerns. Generally, when we get to this like 20-year mark plus out, pretty safe to say nothing's going to suddenly pop up and be concerning or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of that aspect and things to think about and look at. Does it mean nothing could come up? I mean, it's always possible, but at this point in time, yeah, it's probably very, very unlikely. So Angewell, thanks so much. My pleasure. Rhonda, Petreritride is the up and coming weight loss version of Mounjaro. Hoping this will be approved soon. Is going through phase 3 trial now. Petreritride. Of course, they've got another drug name that I cannot pronounce. Been doing this for God knows how long, but up and coming. Yeah, I mean, there's tons and tons of medications that are in the pipeline, phase 3, phase 2. So we'll ultimately see how they kind of start coming out. But yeah, I kind of suspect what's going to happen is Eli Lilly put out Trulicity. That Trulicity came to market kind of the same time as Ozempic by Novo. I think it was actually a little bit before it. But Trulicity wasn't as effective. Its mechanism is very similar, but slightly different kind of molecule and how it acts and stuff like that. And it's believed that it can't get into or cross the blood-brain barrier as well, so it doesn't have as much of an effect on appetite and reducing cravings, hunger, and that sort of thing compared to Ozempic. So what might ultimately happen in this case is that as the new agents start kind of coming out, and whether they're from Eli Lilly or what have you, this next generation of molecules, they're just going to get better and better and better, more specific to the specific target, more potent at their specific target. And all of those wonderful and beautiful things. So yeah, tons in the pipeline, like so much so that I and nobody else can really keep up. But yeah, they'll be kind of coming out. Phase 3, we're probably still a couple years from FDA approval, but soon enough for sure. Use something internet on YouTube. I'm on week 5 of a compounded semaglutide, moved up to 10 units from 4 weeks at 5. I already had terrible appetite, and now I'm struggling to get 500 calories a day, which is obviously unhealthy. Plus the nausea. What recommendation, thinking outside of the box, typical nausea med remedy could you suggest? I mean, kind of really tough to say. Partly the compounded molecules and stuff like that, I don't really honestly trust. Potentially there could be other components and stuff like that there driving and leading to the nausea. So we have to kind of keep that in mind with it, because we don't know exactly what is being made up into these compounds. They're saying it's a GLP-1 molecule, but ultimately you can't get access to the actual GLP-1 molecules. They're often research grade salts, which have slightly different kinetics and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of factors and stuff there that I would be looking at initially. Other general stuff that we look at for nausea management with the GLP-1 medications are things like, eating smaller and more frequent meals, bland foods, avoiding spicy foods, or things that are going to trigger and lead to, or that cause trigger and lead to, or having nausea and stuff. Can look at medications. We're talking with your doctor and stuff, ginger ale, Gravol, kind of all the other standard stuff that we would use for nausea management is kind of what we look at and stuff. So So Lori B, yes, when I was on Ozempic, I had increased heart rate and palpitations. So in general, in that situation, if we can't identify, like if you have increased heart rate and palpitations, like to the point where you're noticing it and you're on Ozempic and stuff, if we can't identify some other kind of underlying pathology leading to it, causing it, and that sort of thing, then we would definitely want to be looking at, probably stopping the medication versus like adding something to try and counteract those side effects and stuff. Just because now we're adding drugs to treat the side effects of another drug potentially. But if some other kind of pathology can be identified, then doing that and treating that, and can ultimately help it out. What is normal for memory issues and what isn't? I don't know what exactly you're asking here. Do you mean like when you're on these medications and that sort of thing, or just in general? Because at 37, you really shouldn't be having any kind of memory issues, and certainly something you should be chatting with your doctor about. Jessica Watson, thank you. Emmer online, 7, yes, post RNY with a bit of regain. Is Saxenda safe? So can you use Saxenda post-bariatric surgery, whether gastric sleeve or like a Roux-en-Y? Yeah, absolutely you can. No issues or concerns there. I mean, we always got to be kind of thinking about where your current nutrition status is at. Are you getting enough nutrition and that sort of thing in? And if we add on this medication, is it going to make it harder to reach your nutritional goals and stuff? So lots and lots of things to kind of assess and look at first to make sure that it is safe. But I've had plenty of patients that are on it and are post-bariatric surgery. So Winter and Walters _mom, Saxenda, week 6, down 25 pounds. It's a lot of weight. I would just be making sure that you're you know, still getting your nutritional requirements and that sort of thing. Some people, depending on how much weight you have to lose and what your diet was like beforehand, certainly can lose a lot of weight very quickly. But yeah, right on. LMG 53, getting ready to start Saxenda. What's the difference between it and the others? So I mean, Saxenda and like the other GLP-1 medications like Ozempic. So the difference is there really isn't differences in like the molecule. They're all GLP-1 medications. So they all act like the GLP-1 hormone our body naturally produces. The main differences would be Saxenda is once daily, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, that sort of thing are once weekly dosing. So they have modifications that allow them to last longer in the body. The other big difference would just be the potency of them. So Saxenda, anywhere from 5 to 10% is kind of the average, whereas Wegovy, Mounjaro, and them can be upwards of 20% weight loss from baseline. So generally, the other guys are just more effective and stuff than the Saxenda. So okay, Megs, ignore that. She is going gray. I'm on Ozempic 2 milligrams per year, down 30, but haven't lost anything in over 4 months. Okay. I mean, most people plateau after a year. If you're not losing weight, then fundamentally you're not in a calorie deficit anymore. So generally what I recommend in this situation is taking a diet break, chill out, focus on health, start building muscle, and that sort of thing. Meg's memory issues. No, in general, my doctor says forgetting where I am when driving is normal. But now I'm forgetting full conversations I had a minute ago and time is distorted. There's way too much in terms of like just stuff to kind of know and stuff like that. Yeah, there's like way too much to unpack there. Everything from like what medications you're on, what's changed in your life, your dietary patterns, activity levels, family history, possible stroke, like the list goes on and on and on and on. Yeah, can't really give kind of just a general answer in that sense, but keep following up with your doctor. Could insulin resistance cause Ozempic to stop working? No. So insulin resistance doesn't affect your ultimate ability to lose weight in any kind of way. We have plenty of data of people that have clearly identified insulin resistance and they were able to lose weight, but they need to be in a calorie deficit. So medication's hasn't stopped working. It's that you're no longer in a calorie deficit. So yeah, you need to take a look at your dietary patterns, try to increase your activity levels, what have you. Yeah, that would be what you need to look at, or take a diet break. Megs and Alzheimer's in my family. My grandpa had it and his 3 sisters. Yeah, it's not super awesome, and Alzheimer's definitely is very devastating and stuff like that. And yeah, super important to follow up with your doctor and just make sure that yeah, you're kind of getting the support and help and follow up just to kind of see what things are going on and stuff. And yeah, go from there. LMG 53, thank you. I live in Australia. Saxenda is all we offer here. Yeah. So Saxenda is the only weight management GLP-1 that's available in like Canada as well right now. Hopefully that'll be changing in the very near future. Like I said earlier, Wegovy will hopefully be here in Canada, the UK, and globally and stuff like that in a couple of months, if not this month. We'll see. And Megs, it's pretty amazing you do this. Doctors are overworked, and then you do this on your spare time. Well, I mean, it's also like part of my business and building my brand and all that wonderful stuff. So it has like an end goal in mind in terms of building all of those various aspects of things. But yeah, it's It's coming up on 8 p.m. here, and I do it every Wednesday and stuff like that. But I get a real kick out of doing this stuff too. So really like helping people, and fundamentally, if I can do this and help some people out, awesome, fantastic. And I'd prefer to kind of do this than watch TV, to be quite honest. Yeah, it's just kind of part of my lifestyle and what I do and stuff. So yeah, happy to do it. Sweet deal. We might have a short live here today, guys. Invite them to go. I think I pretty much got all the questions, which is awesome. I don't mind doing a short one. I think next week what we're going to ultimately do is we are going to kind of do like specific topics and stuff. I can't remember what I wrote down for next week. I was going to pick something. Maybe I was going to do like what to do when your medication stops working or feels like it stops working, something along those lines. But basically kind of doing more of a lecture type aspect of things kind of briefly for like 10-20 minutes, just to give you a rundown on some specific topic, and then dive more intensively into the questions and that sort of thing. And maybe I'm trying to see if I can get my kitchen set up and kind of showing you guys like live preparing various meals, high protein meals and stuff like that, that like say I eat or that I recommend and that sort of thing. And yeah, hopefully kind of build on that and some of the content that we ultimately create and stuff. So that'll be kind of coming in the future. And Megs, just realized your title, obesity expert. Sorry I asked those questions. Yeah, no problem. It all kind of falls somewhat into the realm of all of it in general practice and what we need to know and stuff. So yeah, but if there's no other questions, you beautiful people, I'm going to go to bed early, and I encourage all of you to go to bed early. So get some sleep. Lack of sleep, sleep apnea, I would say, are probably two of the biggest contributors to why individuals develop obesity and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will talk to you next week. Yeah. Sweet.